Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Leshowitz Recital Hall. At this time, we ask that you please silence your electronic devices and locate the nearest exit in the event of an emergency. Please note that food, drink, and flash photography are not permitted in the hall. Thank you and enjoy the performance.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It is a privilege to welcome you to the Cali School of Music. My name is Shay Scruggs. I'm the director here at the Cali School. And welcome to the Leshowitz Recital Hall for this Cali conversation featuring Anton Armstrong and Dr. Heather Buchanan. Dr. Armstrong is truly a giant of choral conducting. We are so excited to welcome him. He is the conductor of the St. Olaf University Choral, and he has been there for over 30 years. He has toured all around the United States and around the world. He is an incredible artist, an exquisite conductor, and it's been a pleasure to watch him work with our kids and connect them to over 100 years of choral conducting tradition through the things that he brings, the stories that he tells, and we're just so excited to see him work with our kids this week. Before we get started, I always like to say a couple of words about the Immersive Residency program, because I think it's just one of the coolest things that we do. The idea is to bring incredible guest artists like Dr. Armstrong to be embedded in our community working with our kids. And so that can look like master classes, that can look like coachings, that can look like working with our kids in their practicums, that can look like performances, oftentimes culminating in a performance. And in this case, we have 3 incredibly packed days ahead, and we're at the end of the first one. And it was a privilege to watch a little bit of the work that took place today. Dr. Armstrong worked with many of you, actually, on the Mozart Requiem, preparing you all for your performance with the New Jersey Symphony, which I'm going to mention in a second, and working with a choral repertoire class. And there's going to be lots of stuff like that. So even a professional development workshop, which is going to be a nice opportunity for people from outside the Cali School to come and connect. And we're just excited at the variety of things that we'll be able to do and that our students will be able to do. Perhaps most crucially, this is an opportunity for our students to really be connected to a tradition of music making that will carry them, that will carry you long after you leave the Cali School. So we're just so excited that we're able to create something like that and put something like that in place. So work like that doesn't just come out of nowhere. I want to say thank you to a couple of the folks that make this possible. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Heather Buchanan, who is our faculty host for this residency, and for all the incredible attention and detail that she brought to it. Heather, you are incredible, and I'm so excited about the work that we're doing. Thank you. I'm also so grateful to thank the Cali staff, in particular Stephanie Hagerstone, for the incredible detail that they bring to all of this and how they set the groundwork for these residencies to take place. It's such a privilege to work with you all. Thank you so much. And last but very, very much not least, I want to thank Dr. Kathryn Lockwood for the incredible work she does heading up our Immersive Residency program. She brings true vision and creativity to this, and none of this would be possible without her incredible efforts. Thank you so much, Kathryn. So just a few quick shout outs and announcements before we get started. There will be a reception in the lobby after this. Everyone is invited and encouraged to attend. Another shout out, I want to thank the Arachne Quartet and Vocal Accord for performing today. If you want to see an incredible example of student performers, kids who are on the path to being thriving professionals, look no further than those 2 ensembles. I'm really excited to hear you all play today. And last, I want to give a shout out to the University Chorale and the work you all are going to do with the New Jersey Symphony. If you like what you hear today, I want to invite you to check out the University Chorale singing the Mozart Requiem and the Faré Pavane. Mm-hmm. I was going to say Requiem. I wish the Faré.
Yeah,
Requiem.
No, we did that.
Yes, the
3
Faré
years ago.
Pavane, which is a beautiful piece of music. with the New Jersey Symphony. It's incredible. I had a chance to watch some of that rehearsal today, so definitely check that out if you get a chance. And
the discount code.
The discount code.
MSU 35,
There it is.
35% off all tickets.
Now that's what I call a faculty host. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Heather, thank you so much. With that, thank you all. It's my privilege to welcome to the stage Heather Buchanan and Dr. Anton Armstrong. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Shay. Thank you. No, we're good, we're wide. Thank you all for being here. I had sort of a bit of your bio just by way of introduction, and then I'm skipping that.
Please.
Because
Please. Makes me tired.
You can read it in the QR code. And I think we really want to talk about the theme for this immersive residency, which is why music matters. I think that learning how to be advocates and finding skillful ways of not just educating our own people, but the wider community and the policymakers and the decision makers has never been more important. And last May, when I finally nailed this man, very hard to get hold of him. I've been trying for several years, but I got you. And we had a really wonderful conversation about what this residency might look like. And we just started talking about the things that mattered to us most. And we were both coming off the end of a very intense and very successful academic year. And several themes emerged. Number one, how does our art serve the public good? Number two, how do our artistic endeavors become transformative experiences? Number three, music as a force for social justice, which is something that has been near and dear to Anton's heart for, I'd say, all of your career, and certainly a big part of our profile here in the Cali School and in the choral program especially. And then the fourth area, which I think is for all of the college students here and all of the people who are wondering whether they should send their students to college, because I know it's a big decision and it's an expensive one, but we really need to talk about how college shapes vocation. And we want to talk about how group activities, such as being in choral ensembles or instrumental ensembles or even in sporting teams, how do these group activities develop leadership? How do we invest in our values? How do we shape other people? How do we shape ourselves? And what is our calling as artist teachers? Now that's a lot. I'm not sure how much of that we'll get through tonight. Some of it we are going to definitely attend to tomorrow with our PD day, and we have 95 people registered for tomorrow, which I'm just thrilled about. So there will be a little bit of overlap. But I'd like to just start the conversation by asking Anton his thoughts about how our art, and when I say our art, we're talking tonight very specifically about choral music. How does our art serve the public good?
I would say to you, my friends, that first of all, it's an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you. We've known each other for over 30 years.
Yeah.
But when Dr. Buchanan started to speak to me about this event, I think choral music, because we do deal with text, we deal with the thoughts of people. It may be one of the last social platforms we have currently in this world where people can come from divergent points of view, politically, theologically, and they can come together on a common ground and find a way forward. I've always said if I could put Congress in the choir so they start to listen to one another, they might learn to govern better as they go and do this type of thing. But truly, that I think is one of the main things. The other thing, because we do have texts, we're dealing with ideas and thoughts that are sometimes timeless. There's a text I was sharing with class earlier today. I want to read it. And this is kind of veering to one of your other subjects about social justice. But in the last tour that I did just a month ago at the St. Olaf Choir, and I'm doing the full piece, this summer at the Oregon Bach Festival. Margaret Vaughn's incredible African-American composer, who finally, 50 years after her death, is finally being recognized as a giant that she was. But she set a piece called Credo. It's based on the writings of W.E.B. Du Bois, one of the founding members of the NAACP. And especially what has happened in the last 2 to 3 weeks, this is the 5th movement of that work, which I did with the Sandal Choir. And it begins, I believe, in the Prince of Peace. And when you first hear this movement, it sounds like she quotes, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." So you think you're being taken to one place. Du Bois wrote this text in 1904, and it starts with the treble voice singing, "I believe in the Prince of Peace." And literally like a torpedo coming in, the tenors come in, "I believe that war is murder. I believe that armies and navies are at bottom the tinsel and braggadocio of oppression and wrong. And I believe that the wicked conquest of weaker and darker nations by nations whiter and stronger, but foreshadows the death of that strength." I'm not sure where some of those young people might have gotten exposure to that text. I would hope maybe in English class, maybe in a history class. But choral music is interdisciplinary in what we do. And it exposes our young people to thoughts and ideas, as I said, 1904, and the relevance to 2026. It also allows us, working with younger people who are trying to find their identities, who they are as human beings, whether we're doing children, middle school, high school, college students. Choral music allows them into the minds of other people who can sometimes say things in a way that they're feeling, but nobody has quite captured it for them. They haven't captured it for themselves.
Right.
But here, this text, that's how I feel. How do they know? And it allows singers, allows conductors. We are able to express things in a concrete way that we may not have been able to express before on our own, and to share this message with other people, and to share it with a public that needs to hear some of these things that they're not going to hear necessarily on the news or by politicians or whatever. I think it is, you said before, it is a transformative art. I don't make choral music to entertain people. That's a side thing. I hope people don't leave concerts that I conduct not feeling like they've been artistically enriched. Entertainment. I hope they are thinking about texts. I hope they're thinking about how this might apply to their lives.
Right. So you just segued beautifully into my next question. How do our artistic endeavors become transformative experiences? And I'm thinking about how we are transformed. How many of you, in addition to the obvious choir here, how many of you have had a transformative experience through a musical pursuit, be it choral or another genre?
Raise your hands.
Raise your hands, you're allowed to. I should also mention we have live stream tonight, students from the College of Communication and Media, senior film and television class, who are here capturing things. So just want to also thank them in advance for helping to document this. So back to the transformative experience. I know for myself when I'm programming, my first thought is how I am serving the needs of the students.
Correct.
Right, everything is about the students. What do they need? Where are they? How can we stretch them? How can we enrich them? You know, and how it fits not just into this moment, but the bigger picture of their time here. But then I'm also thinking very much about, and how is what we're doing relevant to the important conversations that we need to be having in this community, in the broader community?
Let me give you a broader approach. The St. Christmas Festival has been recognized nationally and internationally. And every year, 5 conductors take part in that program. I'm the artistic director, but we work as a collaborative team.
And you have, what, 500 plus performers in that?
500 plus, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I have 2 friends here who, for years, served as a producer for those television, Phil Bird and his spouse, Janet Shapiro. So
Where are you? Okay, film and television students, you need to meet this couple.
Yeah.
Power couple in the house.
Yeah. Live at Lincoln Center, they've done a lot of these things.
Great.
They can attest to this. And every year we start in January, like 3 weeks after we've just finished the last one. And our first question is, what is the theme? What do our students need? What does the wider community in Northfield and in Minnesota, what does our country need? I remember in 2008, we started this plan in January, but we knew that by December, we were going to have a new president. It could either be the first woman president, it could be the first president since maybe Franklin Roosevelt, who had some type of physical disability. So if Senator McCain had been, if Senator Clinton had been, or as it turned out, the first African-American president with President Obama. And that year we used as kind of a theme, we went back to the Magnificat, Mary's song. But that whole image of that canticle, whether you're a person of faith, it's marvelous because that thing turns the whole world upside down. We did a piece called The Canticle of the Turning. But literally the world gets tossed upside down, and we knew the world was going to be tossed upside down. My very first year, in 1990, we knew we were on the edge of war in the Persian Gulf. And the theme was, arise and set the captives free. So we look at what, yes, the students first of all, but who are we sharing that music with, and how do we want to not be didactic and tell them what they should think, but ask the questions that they should consider in their lives.
Right.
And I think when choral music especially, because we are dealing with text, when we present that music in such a way that it asks people. Tonight, these wonderful singers are going to share with you a piece that I've done now for the last 8 years with the Single Choir. In terms of its musical construction and design, it's not an intricate piece, but the text writer, and the piece is called When Memory Fades. And it's a text that deals with those elements of people dealing with Alzheimer's, dementia. And the poet, Mary Louise Bringle, I wish I had had this text 20 years ago when our family was dealing this with our own mother. And this is the piece maybe of any piece in the last 8 years that I've gotten email about because it struck a nerve in people. This year, I programmed the tour program back in October. Little did I know it would have such relevance for a state that was under siege in January, as we were, and a piece that I know has been done around the country, but it was a piece that, and I've done before myself, but took on such relevance. Hope lingers on. My mother, when love is gone, my father, when peace is gone. I will not hate, I will not fear, in the darkest hour, hope lingers here. My sister, when equality is gone, my brother, with tolerance gone. I will not hate, I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here. My love, when honor is gone, my country, when justice is gone. I will not hate, I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here. Before we set out on a 2-week tour, we did 2 concerts in the Twin Cities. Half an hour before we did the first concert on Saturday, Mr. Petty was shot and killed, 20 minutes from where we were singing. And the next day we were in a suburb of Minneapolis, and that piece, when it was done, the audience jumped to its feet. The piece is not intricate, but it spoke to the hearts of the people. Yeah. I think that's what we are called. We have a powerful weapon. We have a powerful vehicle to, I think, ask people to think about their lives. And I think when choral music is done, I think in that way, but it doesn't just even have to be this. I was saying to you earlier, part of the challenge right now as being a vocal music educator is to make music of 300, 400 years ago relevant to today. I'm a great lover of the music of Bach. For 28 years, I've been on the conducting faculty at the Oregon Bach Festival. But I remember one of the last times I did the motet Fürchte dich nicht, Be Not Afraid, text from Isaiah. Again, you don't have to be a religious person, but basically what that text says, be not afraid, I am with thee, I uphold you, I strengthen you, okay? But I had to say to my students, you don't have to believe religiously in this text, but don't you want to go through life with somebody having your back? Don't you want to do that? And how do you make that text understandable? Because I'm also sick and tired of some students saying, I don't want to sing any more music by those dead old white men. Well, if not for those dead old white men, most of us wouldn't be around here. But is there room in the garden for more? Yes. And so the music that you'll even hear this weekend comes from music of African American writers, Latino composers, who have risen, and their voice needs to also be heard. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because that music has relevance to today. That's the scary part of it. It has relevance to today.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking a lot about choral music, but I want to just pivot for a moment to the string quartet setup that we have here, because one of the things about the immersive residency that makes it special is that we don't just sort of bring somebody in to work with one section of the school, but we're looking to engage across the school and even outside across the university. And when we were talking about this Cali Conversations, I spoke to Kathryn Lockwood and I said, okay, so who do we have instrumentally that we could, engage in this conversation? And she said, well, the Arachne Quartet, she spoke with the quartet. And I want to introduce the piece that they're going to perform for you. It's actually called Play. And it's by a Dutch composer, Merlijn Twaalfhoven. And I did a little researching on this composer because I was trying to think about how to introduce it and how to connect it to what we're doing. And directly from his website, he is described as a composer, a speaker, a writer, and a designer of music projects. I like that. I want to be a designer of music projects. He seeks space for play, imagination, and a role for art in addressing societal issues such as democracy, inequality, and the transition to a sustainable society. He actually wrote a book in 2020 called Why We Need the Artist Within Ourselves to Save the World. I want to meet this man. The composition that the Arachne Quartet are going to perform tonight will involve you. So as part of your transformational experience tonight, it's not just about sitting there passively listening to us, it's about engaging with these artists. And is Oliver going to do the introduction, or who's the spokesperson? Oliver? It is Oliver? Okay, beautiful. So we're going to welcome the Arachne Quartet to the stage and to get you involved in play. Would you please welcome them?
Unfortunately, now you guys are going to have to make some of the music yourselves. What we're going to ask you to do here is, at the beginning, you guys are welcome to hum along with us. We're going to be playing some notes, and while we play those notes, we ask you to either hum along with what we're playing, or to think of your own little thing that you could add, or anything. It's a very democratic process, as she stated. And then later on, there's going to be some stamping and clapping. You're going to be making rhythms. We're going to be showing some of those to you, but feel free, again, to add whatever you would like, and whatever you feel fits in with the music. So without further ado, let's play.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your
wonderful, thank you.
participation. That was wonderful. So in the course of a conversation I had the other day, I just thinking Sabina, one of our student composers, we were having a conversation. One of my latest interests, projects, is how we can tell the stories of women in particular and present them for mixed voice choirs so that men have the opportunity to sing and get inside that perspective. I mean, there's many fine women composers who are writing for SSAA choirs, but that's literally preaching to the choir, right? So Jocelyn Hagan and I have just put in a proposal that we want to see more music, women's stories, women composers, but written for mixed voice choirs.
Well, I'm glad you're choosing a good St. Olaf graduate to do the compromise with.
I figured you'd like that.
Yeah. She and her husband both were former students of mine.
She is amazing, yeah. And in the course of that conversation, of course, I looked at Sabina here because premiering new music and working with student composers is one of the things that we like to do with Vocal Accord. Bina, would you like to just talk about the question that you asked me about programming and getting into the connection with the audience? I'm trying to jog your memory without giving away your line. Big voice, come on up.
Okay.
I should have got a handheld mic for you, but
That's okay, I'd be happy to.
no, we need it for the TV camera, but fear not.
Okay.
Let's see if this works. There we go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, less a question, more of an exploration of how we can promote empathy among listeners. Sometimes when we mean to engage an audience to promote activism, sometimes the first approach might be to explain an idea or concept to an audience in hopes that they'll come to it and they'll take on the work themselves automatically that's needed in order for them to want to create a better world and want to do what's best for the population at large. But I think what might be a beneficial approach to take is to instill the empathy within them by providing them with an emotional musical experience that promotes it in themselves already. That's about it.
So one of the things we're looking at is you writing something for us for next year, and that's going to fit our All Together Now, Raising Her Voice, which is the thing that I want us to do more of and more with, and helping that to be part of the conversation. So I just thought this was a nice opportunity to also highlight student composers and how you're thinking about things and how you're influenced and how you can have a voice in this conversation as well. I'm going to quote Dr. Armstrong. He was the keynote.
It's dangerous to do, you know. It's really dangerous.
It's so funny walking around campus with him today and he keeps seeing himself.
You two know I don't get treated like this at home, so it's very nice.
It's all good. And I don't remember what year it was, but it was ACDA National, and you delivered a keynote.
21.
21, it was 21, right. Making music together, and this is one of the quotes from it, making music together is not just about the music. The real impact of choral singing in person is that we are doing this to delve into the souls of each singer. That is so we feel connected to one another and to build community.
Well, that speech was given during the year when we could not meet in person for a national conference. So I was asked, along with Eric Whitaker and Alice Parker, to present 3 plenaries. And that was the thing that was so absent when you couldn't be in the same room. Or if you were in the same room, you were massed 9 feet apart, and to feel this collective whole. But I think one of my mentors, this person you knew as well, many years, professor voice and church music at Westminster Choir College, Helen Kemp. Her mantra was body, mind, spirit, voice. It takes the whole person to sing and rejoice. And when I started off in this field many years ago, it was about making the greatest music, and for those of you a certain age, I wanted to be the next Robert Shaw. And as I grew up and I understood things more.
Not in temperament, I hope.
No, well, and I said he was a genius in many ways.
Yeah.
But he also was a very conflicted human being.
He was, yeah.
And I was okay being Anton Armstrong, you know, and just making music that the people with whomever I worked with felt, first of all, they were seen, and that somewhere in that music, their souls could feel a place of belonging. I think we've gone through different things in the academy. We talk about inclusion, you know, but no, do people feel like they belong in a place? And to do music more and more that I won't throw out the Western canon, but do I make room where somebody can see themselves, either through text or the music that is created? Abby Bettinas is one of my former students who's made a big impact, and she was one of the key people putting together a social justice songbook. So people's voices can be heard, and I think that is integral. And again, I don't say we are better at all than these marvelous instrumentalists we just heard, but because we have also not just to lift up and be the advocate for the composer, we also are the advocate for the librettist. And I think as we start to look on and look into that world and we see others and the way they look up, a piece that you will hear if you come to the concert on Saturday is by Mari Valverde. Mari was, again, I've said to the singers today, she was the first transgendered student I had the honor of teaching. This is now 16 or 17 years ago. When I was coming through school, we didn't talk about this stuff in the 1970s and 80s. And I learned a lot from her. She was also I published some of her earlier compositions. The piece that you'll hear on Saturday night is called When Thunder Comes. And that piece lifts up civil rights people, but not the Rosa Parks or the Martin Luther King Jr., who deserve to be lifted up. But Sylvia Mendez, a Latina woman fighting and challenged California's justice system in a fight for racial desegregation of the public schools in the 1960s in Los Angeles. Sylvia Helencia, who was a poet, award-winning activist, Chinese-American, Fulbright scholar, but also representing the LGBTQ community in her work. She lifts up Harvey Milk, who most likely is the best known of the entities she raises in this text. But a group called the Freedom Summer Soldiers. I had known about the Freedom Riders. But again, what Mari is trying to do is to look at people who have been doing this fight, not always recognized, and putting into music that lifts up. And I love at the end, at one point it says in the text, it's J. Patrick Lewis's text, but she says, "For history was mute witness when such crimes discolored and discredited our times." She's talking about racial, gender injustice, but again, it's happening still today. And who will lead that voice? What I've understood through the years is from an old African proverbs that you can sing what you can't often say. Those of you old enough in this room to remember civil rights movement in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there were people who, if they spoke the same words they sang, Joan Baez is one. She could sing things and not get arrested. But if she had said them, J. Edgar Hoover would have locked her up. And there are things that we can do through our musical language that will express the needs and the wants. The other thing I've often said about musicians, but especially about choral musicians, choral singers, we are asked so often to be both priests and prophets. We are called upon to be the healing balm when people are hurting, but also be the force to show joy and celebration. But we often are the prophet in saying what the world needs to be looking at. That program I shared, that was prophetic voice, you know. But also, could we be a voice to lift up? Again, you all were not even on this earth yet. But when we had 9/11, I grew up in New York and everything. I was in junior high kid when those towers went up, and to see them come down. And we had a service later in that week at the National Cathedral, and President George W. Bush spoke, Reverend Billy Graham spoke. I don't remember what they did, but Denise Graves sang Amazing Grace. That's what I remember. That was the thing that gave me some solace. That was my balm in Gilead. And so I think I get so upset when I see school systems cutting the arts as a frivolous extra. It's maybe the one last part of our educational system that will create whole human beings. And when you and I were talking about even students today, I don't mean to pick on you all when I say this. I admire you, I do. But you, like my students, you live in a more fragile world. Things impact you. We didn't have, growing up, 24-hour news cycle. We didn't have social media constantly throwing everything at us constantly, whether we wanted to see it or not. And more of my wonderful students are fighting a mental challenges. They're feeling. You can't ask people to be creative and then ask them to turn their brains off, or turn their hearts off. So I think this medium of music, of art, fine arts, the last thing is to help us be whole human beings. I think, again, the piece that African-American composer Rosephanie Powell, I commissioned her to write a piece 11 years ago when I was celebrating my 25th year at St. Olaf. And it's one of the texts from the book of Micah. And again, I don't think you have to be a religious person to subscribe to this, because the essence of Micah 6 is to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly. In this case, humbly with your God, but can you walk with other human beings humbly? We see a lot of arrogance in this world right now. But we can teach that lesson in our choral classrooms. We share that with our audiences to ask them, are you doing justice? Are you loving kindness? Do you hate the person that's next to you? And I don't know if that's being taught in an English classroom. It's not being taught in a chemistry classroom. It's not being taught in mathematics. So are we nurturing the whole person? That's what our arts does.
I have a quote from Marisol Valverde. The Choral Journal just published, for those of you who are ACDA members, just published an article on 4 selected advocacy works. And the opening quote, "I aspire to create music that emboldens people to unlearn shame, to humanize others, and in the process, humanize myself." And so by performing music like this, that's exactly what we're looking to do. Let's talk a little more about the social justice, because the pieces that you've programmed, obviously there were thematic things we wanted to do. There were things that needed to be appropriate to the choirs that you were working with. We have students from 5 high school choirs coming on Saturday to sing side by side with vocal accord and university singers. Many of these students are in the university singers, and the first piece you worked on with them today was Roger Ames's
Jeffrey Ames, yeah.
Sorry, Roger Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey,
Yeah.
wrong Ames.
Yeah.
It was For the Sake
Of
our Children.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about that. I'm hoping this will get people interested and curious to come on Saturday evening, because I think for those of you that are in university singers, has that been one of your favourite pieces? Yeah. What about that piece has appealed to you? Big voice.
Don't be shy. Use your words.
Don't be shy. Yeah, big voice, Omar.
The biggest thing that spoke to me about it was the outwardness towards the shared innocence of children. And no matter what you may have predisposed ideas
still a child, regardless of color, class, creed, or religion. And the idea that we need to come together to save these young people, it's something that people just can't help but rally behind. I think that it bridges more gaps than it could possibly ever create, regardless of who we're talking about.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah. Apart from the fact that Jeffrey just writes beautiful music as well.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Well, and he wrote that piece in the after 9/11, but in the early, with some of the discord that was happening in Africa at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think now, what has gone in Gaza, those children who were displaced, who died, but who lost their homes, the emotional, I was listening to something on NPR the other, the emotional trauma that children go through. What has happened in Iran?
Right.
You know? But what happens in this own country when, in my own state, people come in and they grab a child and use the child as hostage to supposedly get the parent that they're seeking? And what has that done? We need to think more. So again, you asked about transformation for these young people. I'm glad it had that impact on you, and I hope for the people who will hear this, that it again will make people think, not just buy into some political ideology. And I'm talking left and right, because it's on both sides. It's on both sides. But can we care for one another? Can we do justice? Can we love kindness?
Right.
And I think the more that we can share, that you all start to look into that music, which he said so beautifully, that text, how does it make you want to live your lives? You know, it's part of what I ask the students that I have the joy of teaching. How does that make a difference? You know, to have in that when thunder comes. I have LGBTQ students in that choir. Finally, they're not being demonized. And I teach in a college that is built as a community of faith. I'm grateful I teach in a community of faith where everyone is welcome. It's not a country club. Everyone is welcome. But that's not what a lot of these kids have always understood. Or as a person of color. Where I understood how music changed my life is that as a little boy, I sang in an organization that no longer exists, unfortunately, but it's in Princeton, New Jersey. Many of you might have heard it as the American Boy Choir. And when you entered the doors of that beautiful mansion, it didn't matter how much money you had or your class, what your parents did. What they wanted to know is, could you sing? Okay, that was the first thing. You had to be able to sing, right? But how hard were you willing to work and work together as a team? I know I was one of the two poorest kids in that school when I went there. But I left there as the head boy. Because there they wanted to see the content of your mind and heart, how hard were you willing to work, how much you wanted to work with other people and make the world a better place. And that's what changed. We use the word, you used at one point, vocation. And I'm going to go back to its roots of vocatio, a calling. Martin Luther was the one who did it. Martin Luther was screwed up in a lot of things. He had issues with Jewish people, all right? So I'm not worshiping Martin Luther. But I am going to say about this sense of calling, when he challenged the Roman Catholic Church that only the priests should be educated, only the priests could do this. And he said, no, everyone has a calling, whether you are a shoemaker, whether you are a banker or a butcher, everyone has a calling in life. We're lucky that we feel a calling to what we do. We also, that vocation can be our occupation. But for many of you, that will not be. If you go out and you become a vocal music educator working in the community, in the church, most of those people will not be making their day jobs, you know, doing music. But they need music in their lives. It's their sanity. And so when we talk about social justice, I'm not just talking about oppress. I'm thinking, how do you lift up people? I go back to Helen, body, mind, spirit, voice, takes whole person. But that means a healthy mind and body. You know, to live, to thrive. I don't want people just to be included. I want people to thrive in who they are and to love themselves. We discussed this earlier. We all have to live to some level of imposter syndrome. Okay, it happens. We talked about our mentors who we waited years to get their blessing, you know. But we had to move beyond that. Sometimes you'll never get that. Sometimes I grew up in a lovely family. My parents could fight like cats and dogs sometimes, but they loved each other, you know. That's us black folks, we fight sometimes, so, you know. But I always knew they made me believe that you can do anything you want to do, even when the world says you can't do it. I didn't know a lot of black conductors when I was growing up, but people told me I could do that. And she grew up in the system, she had to leave her country to come here to get some, but you know, we've all faced those obstacles. But I grew up in a household where people said if there was if something obstacle in your way, if you can't go through it, you figure your way around it. There was a wonderful conductor, a woman conductor in the 1970s who never got her due. Her name was Antonia Burrico. She taught at Colorado College. She did some opera work in New England and New York. But she came one semester. She looked like a bag woman. I swear she did. But I still remember a talk she gave in a convocation. And she had the whole chapel, I was a senior, chanting. It's like, I will not be deflected from my course. I will not be deflected from my course. Okay? That's the sort of thing you have to go through. Music is not an easy road to go. You know, it's not. And even if you get a job in teaching, think about how some of you all, when you were little, you're going to teach you know. But the difference you can make in their lives. I always thought it's a popular movie, but I think there's a lot of value in it. How many of you have ever seen Mr. Holland's Opus? If you haven't, see it. There's a lot of truth. Richard Dreyfuss was very good in that role. But at times he didn't believe he made a difference in people's lives. And when he did decide to take retirement, how people came back, including a former student of his who was then governor of the state. Okay. My friend Andre Thomas is a New Jersey All-State. He had a very wonderful young woman in his choir. She's a famous actress, you know. And we talk about that, you know. Anne Hathaway.
I was just going to say, was it Anne Hathaway?
Anne Hathaway was in Andre Thomas's New Jersey All-State Choir. Yeah. New Jersey All-State Choir. So what we do makes a difference, and you have to believe that. But you also have to convince people that what we do is worth saving. It's not the first thing on butcher block. We are interdisciplinary teachers, right? You teach history. You teach language. You teach literature that sometimes, I wish I would say that I had learned, my first exposure to African American literature was in an English class. And I went to a very good school. It wasn't. It was in a vocal choral setting when I first sang the words of Langston Hughes. We teach physics. Every time I get you sopranos not to beat the crap out of a high note, you're starting to understand acoustics, right? I've taught many an elementary child about fractions when they have to read 3/4 time. I'm teaching math. We also teach life skills. Because you live in a world right now where you can get instant gratification. Get that bloody phone out, Siri. But you sit in a choral classroom. You sit in a band or orchestra room. And it doesn't just all sound nice. We teach you about not getting instant gratification. We teach you persistence and survival. We teach you how to persevere. You all didn't sound like the first day of rehearsals, but you sound pretty beautiful. But that's not how life is right now. And it's teaching you you don't give up. And to work hard at something is not a bad thing. You've learned to listen to one another. And not judge because you might look different or talk different. You know? That's what music has done for me. It's taught me respect of other people who don't look or sound like me. And not to judge them as I would not want to be judged.
And a conversation we had some years ago and we've had several times since was your belief that choir is quite possibly one of the last places in our lives where people with so many differences can truly come together and listen and agree on something. And that is what they're doing with that music and the why of it. And, you know, it's interesting. I mean, you know, they all know I've got rules. But the biggest one at the moment is to disconnect from this virtual world. Because as a cohort, they're the most connected yet disconnected students we've ever taught. And even for ourselves, you can feel yourself being sucked in the doom-scrolling vortex very easily. And trying to teach them how to give themselves the gift of the precious present moment by putting away those distractions and by being still, by being willing to look another person in the eyes, to have a conversation. The other day in rehearsal, it was interesting. Sunday night, the chorale came back for an extended rehearsal at the end of spring break. And instead of a room full of people frantically doing this, it was just a bubble of conversation and laughter, and I looked around and there was virtually nobody on their phones. They were interacting and talking, and I just thought that was one of the most beautiful moments for me in that whole night, apart from the music that we made. But the fact that you all felt that you could come together and be together, and that's rare, that's special.
I ask this often when I'm doing a clinic, so I'm going to ask you now. Why are you in choir? Forget if it's a major, you have to do it because it's part of your major, okay? But why else? Why do this? Talk to me. You've been hearing me jabber.
I already spoke, but for me, it's the one place where we can just listen to everything that's happening around us, and we don't have to go about tasks that would distract us from just taking in our environment and taking in each other. There's no bigger objective than to create.
This is for the live stream.
Yes.
And then you're going to pass it to Jenna because she had her hand up too.
Okay, I think everything I just said was all I've got. And I'm not sure that I can re-articulate it as well, so I'm going to pass it on.
Yeah,
Who's next?
your neighbor.
Jenna.
Okay.
Hello, I'm gonna sit down, but for me, choir
Stand
was...
up and turn around so these people can see
Okay,
you.
okay. For me, choir was one of the first places where I felt like I could really be myself, and I just felt accepted by the people around me, and I don't know, it was kind of what made me even want to study classical music in the first place. I heard it was one of the first exposures I really had to that, besides listening to operas as a child. And it just really is something that you feel so connected to the people around you. And even when I came here, I was so nervous, I was so scared. And on the first day, so many people came up to me and asked me who I was and introduced me to everyone. And I've just always felt such a community with all of you. So yeah, that's why I
I'm going to ask some of the tenors and basses. Yeah, pass it back.
I think for me, choir speaks to a part of my soul that nothing else does. It fulfills me musically, and it fulfills so many other things that nothing, I can't think of anything in my life that can fill my soul the way choir does. There's something about the community, there's something about the music itself that just fulfills me completely, the way choir does.
I love that. Who else? Anybody? Hands up. Claire.
So, what? Why are we laughing? Why are we laughing at me? I'm always loud. Guys, I'm always loud. Shut up. I've been singing for pretty much my entire life. And so, choir is just kind of a place where I can do the thing that I love, the thing that kind of, what Julio said, fulfills my soul. Where, I can sing in the shower, I can sing at home, but I can go up on stage alone and I hate everything. But when I'm here with everyone else, it feels like it's right. It's better to sing in a group, to have a community. And to have that is just something that, like everyone else has said, it's something I haven't found anywhere else. And so that's why even after I'm not required to be here, I come back anyway. Even as rigorous as the process is, as much work as it takes, I always come back because it's worth it. That feeling that I get from singing with people that I care about and care about me, and we all care about making this art in a world where art is so devalued, is something that is so important to me, and I know is important to everyone else here.
Beautiful. Anyone else?
Yeah, pass it over that way.
I really think choir feels like home, and I've came from so far away, and I just remember my freshman year coming in and being absolutely terrified to be around so many people that I've never seen before. I have never been in a situation where I have been afraid to speak out or be myself. But when I stepped into choir the first time, I don't know, I was afraid. And I remember the first thing Buchanan told me was like to fix my posture. So like I was standing straight right away. But
oops.
Yeah, it just feels like home. I've never been part of something that feels bigger than myself. It feels like every single time we're on the stage, we're not just there because we're required to or we're forced to. We're there because we actually love choir. We love music. There's a reason why we're all here. And it doesn't matter like how long or like how hard it is to keep music alive. I know that we will do that because every single day that we show up and we're here, everyone has a smile on their face. I try to be kind to everyone, and then they give it back to me, and I just feel like...
That's why you're a section leader, Elvin.
Exactly. So choir is just a way that everyone can become one. And it's not like we have to be ashamed of being in choir or we have to be scared of being in choir, because as long as we're all together and we're all sharing this moment, we're just amazing. This is home.
Good. And we got one more person, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the music, and then we're going to sing for everybody. So I can't wait to sing for our audience tonight. Taylor.
Hi. For me, choir has not been as much about the repertoire that we're performing. I've sang things that I think are like the greatest work ever, and I've sang things that I never need to sing again. But it's the people that I'm making the music with that's always mattered. I can sing a piece that I don't really care for, but singing it alongside the people who make me want to show up and be a better person and a better musician every day makes it a great piece of music. It makes it impactful and important. And I think that's why it is so important, especially for younger people in high schools. They're not going to care about classical music the way that maybe we do, but we can help them to appreciate it through the connections with their peers and with the people around them. And that's why I think choir is so important for everybody.
And I think to add to that, so many different styles and genres, and that sort of leads us into what we're going to do now. So have we got stage crew back there to start setting up? Hint, hint. Drop, drop. Here they come. Magic. We'll start with striking this, and then we'll get the piano in. We're going to sing All of Me, which is the third of 5 movements. It's the middle movement of a piece called A Vision Unfolding. The composer is Pederson. Really lovely guy, big social justice advocate. And this is a piece that, well, you'll hear the words, it makes sense, but I chose it specifically for this immersive residency. It allows us to sort of have a crossover between the popular and the more traditional styles of singing that we do. The words matter enormously, and it's a chance for us to be a little reflective and I think very sincere in the message. So we'll present that first, and then I'm going to invite Dr. Armstrong to conduct the choir. He met them this afternoon for the first time at 4 o'clock. Performance weeks in CASA are tricky because everybody's standing the whole time, so you can imagine by the time we got to 4 o'clock, everybody was over it. But you guys were great, and it's been my privilege to prepare them to hand over to my colleague and friend here. I warned them that he would be insistent, and I warned them that he would be particular about tone and diction, and I don't think they quite believed me until 4:15. And so we're going to present, Anton's going to conduct 3 pieces with the choir. The first by the late Alice Parker called On the Common Ground, which again, this was a piece she wrote in 2020, I think, yeah?
She wrote after the death of George Floyd and how she saw the country being pulled apart. And she asking us, can't we sing together? Can't we play together? Can't we work together on the common ground?
On the common ground, yeah. Hang on, I'm just going to move this to help them move the piano. And then you're going to perform When Memory Fades, which is the piece you were speaking about earlier, just stunning. And then we're going to have a bit of a romp through a piece that I think Andre wrote this for you.
Yeah, he wrote this for a concert it has to do in Carnegie Hall.
We're going to move this in a sec.
It's an old spiritual, get on board, children, get on board.
Get on board, little children. So I'm going to invite you to go over there. We're just going to have a 7th inning stretch. While the choir gets ready to come up, we're going to disappear this, and then we'll position the piano. Yeah, it's all good. So, guys, you ready to stretch and come on up? Ariana, do you want to take care of those microphones there, or are you doing piano? Is that your new? So this fits in here. So if you just come up, there you go. Yep, you've got it. And where's Una? Is Una here? Is our violinist here? She's backstage? Okay. Greg, do you mind just putting those over there? Here you are. Come on out, love. Thanks, Tom. Vocal Accord is our elective chamber choir. They rehearse once a week for 75 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon. So these are folks who just come together for the sheer joy of it. We have some alumni, we have a few grad students, we have a few freshmen that managed to get in this semester, which we're thrilled about, and then sophomores, juniors, right through to our seniors. For this piece, Una Lee is an international exchange student. This is her first semester in the Cali School, and we just really thank you for joining us for this. And this is also, I think, a Leshowitz Recital Hall debut for our Greg, my new collaborative partner. So would you please come and join us, and we'll sing this together. Dr. Spread. Elvin, you can come around a bit there, lovey. Yep, and then Ryan, just come. There you go. Yeah. Joey, you see? Yeah. Give yourselves a bit of room. Julio, just, scoot along. There you go. There you go. Oh, yeah, can you turn my... Wait a minute.
Each of us, we are mirrors. Who we are, a reflection of how we treat each other. Each word exchanged echoes our frame of mind, displays who we cut out of humanity's portrait.
When you look at me, what do you see? Do you see someone who has a right to simply be, or a body undeserving of the right to live freely?
Our differences should not threaten your identity. Our sameness shouldn't make me more worthy.
When you look in the mirror, please see me, mind and soul.
See me and see your own flesh and bone, regardless of skin tone.
Who and where I call home, party and political possessions, the possessions I hold.
See me for who I am, and still listen. Find me in your reflection, and my right to thrive worthy of your protection.
Because if you truly love your neighbor as yourself, you would recognize your divine connection to everyone.
Look at my skin. Do you see only skin or the soul within? Do you see what's true?
And look who I love. Do you view me as less, like none of the rest of me matters to you? Turn off the talk on the air and the voices who seem to just care about dividing and hiding us where you won't see.
me, Lord. Help me, Lord.
Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord.
Help me find the common ground.
Find the common ground. Yes, the common ground.
Between the high and the low.
High and low.
Between the poor and the rich.
Poor and rich.
Between the old and the young.
Old and young.
Between the black and the white.
And the white. Help me find the common ground. The common ground. Yes, the common ground.
Between the shouting.
Shouting.
And the silence.
Silence.
Between the bound and the free.
Free.
Between the greed,
Grief.
and the joy.
Joy.
Between the heart
And the mind. Help me, Lord.
Open us, Lord.
Open us, Lord.
Guide us.
Guide us.
Meeting place.
Lord, guide us to that meeting place.
We can
See each other, hear each other, care for each other here, where we can sing together, work together,
we can play together.
play together
On the common ground.
on the common ground.
Help me, Lord. Open us, Lord.
Come, let us meet together on the common, the common, the common ground, on the common ground.
So this is the piece I mentioned earlier, and Mary Louise Bringle's text. When memory fades and recognition falters, when eyes we love grow dim and minds confused, speak to our souls of love that never alters. Speak to our hearts by pain and fear abused. O God of life and healing, peace empower us with patient courage by your grace infused. So I've asked this of audiences across this nation for the last 8 years. So I'll ask it now. How many of you have dealt or are dealing now with loved ones, friends who have dementia, Alzheimer's? Will you raise your hands? Hold on to what you hear. You may need this text sometime in your life.
When memory fades
on that note, thank you all very much for coming tonight. If you would like to engage with some more amazing music making, we're going to have a combined choir of about 185 students on Saturday evening. Tomorrow we have a full day. We're going to be talking about African American spirituals, performance practice, as well as programming and advocacy. And then on Saturday, of course, we're inviting students and hoping to entice them to the fabulous Cali School of Music. He wants the microphone.
She always controls things. I need to say this for those who are visiting. Please come back Saturday and to hear the two of us, to hear these wonderful students. But this woman, over 23 years, has built this vocal program, this choral program. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you.
Takes a village. We have an amazing village, and I also just want to thank my colleagues who are here tonight. We have an amazing voice faculty. One of the things I think we do really well is synergy between the voice faculty and the choral program and everything that means. I mean, I know several of you are sitting there going, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. It's just great to have such amazing colleagues. It's one of the reasons I know it's one of the reasons you've stayed at St. Olaf. Yeah, you got more on you than I do. But my point is that this is an amazing place to be, and our students are just incredible. So thank you. Conductors can't do it alone. We need you to make the music. So thank you again. Let's go have some reception. Come and eat the food, guys.